Hey, what's going on, Soul Nation? Ginger Prime here, and what we're going to do today is break down the latest development update for Halo Infinite. This is going into Season 2, the Lone Wolves season, which kicks off on May 3rd. Now, I'm an avid Halo player. I've been playing this series for an incredibly long time, and I want to bring it here to the channel a little bit and talk about the development roadmap, especially as it builds up to what we've talked about in October here on the channel, their Battle Royale. And I think we're starting to see a preview of that, but ultimately I want to go through this post, break it down for you in hopefully a reasonable fashion. And thanks so much for being here. If you're new to the channel, I like to talk about video games a lot, apparently, but thanks for being here. We're going to have some fun, and let's get into it. Lone Wolves, the Season 2 of Halo Infinite, is less than 2 short weeks away. Launching on May 3rd, they've got a lot of exciting new content coming to the game. Now, last week they took a closer look at Season 2's new maps, Catalyst and Breaker, and today we're exploring 3 new modes and additional variants, which features will mix returning favorites and something new to Halo. I think Halo would definitely benefit dramatically from more rule sets, more modes, more updates. If anybody's been playing Infinite this whole time, note that we're all just freaking hungry when it comes down to more options when playing Halo. Now, we're going to see the return of the King of the Hill. You already know how this is played, but there's a little twist on this one. A neutral hill spawns on the map, and 2 teams battle it out for control of the hill and earn points. When a player enters the hill uncontested, it is captured and begins earning 1 point per second into the capture bar. When the team's capture bar is full, they score 1 point, and a new hill spawns somewhere else on the map. Then they're adding in what concept called land grab, control the zones. It's like a lot of starting to get some Destiny vibes, personally speaking. At the start of the match, there are 3 neutral zones around the map. When a player captures a zone, it is locked and gives the player team 1 point. When all zones are captured, there is an intermission before 3 new neutral zones spawn. The first team to score 11 points wins. And then you have Last Spartan Standing with the objective as to survive. So Last Spartan Standing is based around the Lone Wolves theme of Season 2. In this free-for-all experience, 12 players spawn on a big team battle map with a confined loadout and 5 respawns. Once a player runs out of respawns and can no longer participate, they can either spectate or leave the match without a penalty. If the player gets a kill in the match, they can upgrade to a different weapon, something players of Escalation Slayer will no doubt be familiar with. The match ends when there is just 1 Spartan left standing. So this is definitely not big team, a battle royale-esque. It's kind of maybe like a mini battle royale. Well, we've already seen it confirmed that the Battle Royale should be probably coming around Season 3. I'm joined today by Zach Boyd, a multiplayer modes and system designer, to talk a bit about these new modes for Halo Infinite. We got some insight on how these modes would have changed and what new experiences players can look forward to in Season 2. First of all, a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for taking time to chat with us about these new modes, and why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself. So Zach says, I sometimes go by the gamer tag Carnivore. I'm a multiplayer game designer on the multiplayer team, and I work on modes and systems as well as generally overseeing the arena experience. This season, I had the pleasure of helping the team ship 3 new modes, King of the Hill, Land Grab, and Last Spartan Standing, as well as several social variants for use on these new playlists. King of the Hill has been a fan favorite mode since 2001, and no doubt a lot of the folks are super excited to see it return. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I'm excited for this one too. It's one of my favorites in the franchise. As with all these modes and play, the process to run the paper design through my fingers, filter ideas in prototyping and with my peers, and start building a playable experience so we can now show wider groups and further refine the design. As with something like Capture the Flag, King of the Hill is a long-time classic, so on paper the design part is a bit different compared to a fresh mode with a blank canvas. The core of the mode needs to feel the same. It should strain the same skill sets as the classic mode and drive home the same objective fantasy as its predecessor. I think that the fair sum in my own gripes with the mode as a longtime player, as well as our initial feedback in playtesting, looks something like this. The hill moving on a strict timer clashes with opportunism. It's really annoying to finally usurp the controlling team only to have the hill disappear and a blank one just a few points. The instantaneous nature of flipping ownership spikes the pace of perception, and players should say the mode feels frantic to a fault, and it strains the legibility of messaging with the feedback systems. End match resolution is too often too flat. The match timer clashes with the hill timer in a way that can mathematically ice the match. Conversely, even some tight matches end with the team touching the new hill for just a few seconds, under-delivering on the hype built up by the hotly contested match. These findings were solidified when the UR testing gave us similar feedback, iterating the coal and those weaknesses to start garnering better results. In the end, we wanted these distinctions from the classic version of the mode. In the end, we landed on these distinctions from the classic mode, and here they are. Each hill has a control meter. Teams fill their control meter when occupying the hill uncontested. Contesting a hill will pause the control progress. When a team fills their control meter, they earn a point. Hills have a very quick capture time and can be paused by contesting. Hills quickly decay ownership back to neutral when unoccupied. Hills move only when the team has filled their control meter and winning that hill. Quick play. The first hill is always contested. Exquisite. But all hills thereafter are randomized. The entire hill sequence is contested every match. Matches utilize the objective clock mechanic like oddball, and match timer only depletes when the hill is unoccupied. Naturally, we also maintain support for classic King of the Hill settings via custom games. I think they should have opened with that, personally speaking, not gonna lie. It always helps to kind of say, if you guys like the old experience, you can still have it via custom games, which I think is more than fair. Let's talk about land grab. The description of this reminds me a bit of old school territories from Halo 2 and 3 days. Is that something the team was looking to evolve in or invoke in this mode? Totally. We wanted to explore a multi-zone objective that works well on mirror symmetrical maps. A weakness in our strongholds mode is triple zone layouts on symmetrical maps tend to be problematic, as they need to sit along the line of symmetry in order to feel fair. Generally speaking, when we set out to create a new mode, we like to go after niches not yet filled by other modes of play. Land grab offers a unique solve here. Once a player's or team captures a land zone, it disappears from the level, banking 1 point for the capturing team. This naturally whittles down each set of 3 zones towards the final zone crescendo in each set. Once all zones have been claimed, a new 3 zones begins to spawn in the positions on the map until one team reaches 11 points. So why did we choose 11 points for this mode? Because matches progress in sets of 3 points. 11 points to win ensures hotly contested land grab games mostly common end in a 3-zone set. We do, however, feel special logic to help craft more compelling crescendo at match end. If a team is 1 point from victory and 2 zones will spawn. If both teams are 1 point from winning, then only one final zone will spawn and decide the match. The result is a triple capture zone mode where the points of interest churn and pull a variety of locations on the map rather than a stagnant alongside the lines of symmetry. I can only take a mentor's share of the credit here. However, the land grab mode is designed by Mickey Cushing. Well, we'll go with it. I probably butchered his name. Most likely I did. So good job, Mickey. So I'm particularly fascinated in the new Last Spartan Standing mode. What is the core idea behind this new experience for Halo Infinite? We had a ton of fun developing Last Spartan Standing. As a designer, the box for this mode was the seasonal theme Lone Wolves, as well as the feature our big team battle map, Breaker. To me, that screamed building something that was all about you versus everyone else and leveraging the larger play space available in BTB. I felt like eliminating players rather than vying for a greater score fit best for a more visceral path to the top of the FFA mountain, a bit more wolf enter FFA attrition on big team battle maps. After 20 years, one might wonder what Halo hasn't done to some extent in the past. It is a challenge to come up with new experiences like this. Personally, it's all good fun to me. Really though, the challenge between something new and iterating on something classic is more of a trade-off in skill sets rather than one being easier than the other. Designing a mode from blank canvas requires more creativity up front. It is a bit more exposing and pushes one to craft and hold a vision in their head throughout the process, and a fresh new mode needs the North Star, or they can't thrash wildly during iteration. I alluded to this before, iterating on classic mode is just as challenging, but it demands an apt understanding of the established North Star and maintaining a forward direction while attempting to iterate on the current goals and players' expectations. Expectations, I think, is really a key aspect here. So I hear there are some exciting new quirks in the last Spartan Standing that we really do, that we not really had in the Halo game mode before. So it all started initially when playing FFA Attrition on Breaker. No other notes or changes, just let us see what shakes out and talk about it. It was immediately obvious that the typical scavenging story wasn't going to work. FFA modes have a way of really straining combat outcome perceptions. Players often describe it as third-partying, when others would consistently dislike the scavenging more power from the level amplified by third-partying, and while also increasing the match snowball so much that leading players ran away beyond where others could catch up. That occupied with the fact that players struggled mightily to take combat risks and perceive rewards and combat outcomes as worthwhile because everyone has a limited number of respawns. Essentially, people were hiding in corners of the map, banking up their respawns and power weapons, refusing to take risks, and it was boring. It wasn't going to work, but still there was something there. Attrition's danger zone approach on a big level, pushing players to improvise and to lead to a bunch of hilarious and compelling encounters. We just need to solve for player motivations and to make the risk of entering combat worthwhile. So we turned all of that into the map of the weapons and implement the new system where we can grant players new weapons from script. It started off with something like escalation slayer mechanics with other variants seen in the genre, except for the typical paradigm of starting strong and ending weak. That wasn't going to work. The whole point was to increase combat motivation, so instead players would earn an upgrade each time they scored a kill. And that kind of worked. Players now had plenty of motivation to risk their neck in combat, but it introduced a new couple of design puzzles. The lack of agency when receiving an upgrade was something annoying. Even though a new weapon was objectively more powerful, it didn't always fit the exact scenario you found yourself in moment-to-moment gameplay. So think we would give you a sniper rifle after you scored a kill, but you're immediately challenged by a third party in close quarters. So third-partying frustration was amplified since the credit only went to the player that scored the kill. Swooping in and stealing kills from their players was doubly rewarded. So instead, we implemented a leveling system that utilizes a player's personal score, earn progress towards your next upgrade. So let us do a few things to further create this experience. Or curate, that's probably the right word. Spread combat rewards to assisting players. Put the player power climb to a curve that means to craft balance, mainly curtailing the leading player's snowball separate from the trailing player's ability to catch up. This worked quite well, but there was always more. Players still didn't like that the level up moment would happen without their input. Regardless of how the leveling curve is tuned, the mechanic where combat rewards more power to players can still sometimes leave trailing players too far behind. So, with that in mind, a couple of new mechanics were created. Players now receive a level up prompt when they reach a new level threshold, and then they can choose when to take their new loadout rather than having it happen to them. And modified attrition AI bubbles to dispense bonus XP when a player gets eliminated. They drop their AI bubble on the world, and the last Spartan standing enemy players can interact with it and collect 300 personal score, or 3 times what a kill is worth. In the end, what we have is an FFA attrition experience with a layered and leveling system to pair with a curated on-map power scavenging story, which currently is random equipment and power equipment come via ordnance pods. Equipment can be found in some interior locations. On-map weapons and vehicles are disabled. Grenades are randomized each time they spawn. To be the last Spartan standing to win, please note that we've implemented measures to allow eliminated players to leave last Spartan standing matches without incurring a quit penalty while still retaining any progress that they've made in the challenges. There are some challenges that may not upgrade their progress until the game itself is completed, but if you leave early, please note that your progress will be added to the conclusion of the match. We've got 2 new maps coming with Season 2 as well, Breaker, BTB, and Catalyst, its Arena. And those purposes built for the modes, or can fans expect to be playing them across all of our maps? So not specifically purpose built, as there are a lot of considerations that go into crafting these places and accommodate the existing modes as well as future ones, but there are many aspects of the design of these maps that really complement how the new modes are coming in Season 2's play. Breaker is a really fun capture the flag map, and you'll get the chaotic BTB fun players love on that map. Catalyst will immediately be available in quick play with all other modes except for strongholds, and in ranked arena with CTF and Slayer. So giving players agency to manipulate our modes in different ways as always leads to crazy, often unexpected, brilliant outcomes. When can players expect to see these modes turn up in their custom games list, and what sort of options are we giving them to tweak? Day 1, these settings should be available. King of the Hill, legacy scoring enabled, player per interval, score interval seconds, hill timer duration, hill in-hill player properties, health multiplier, shield recharge, weapon damage, X on movement speed, sprint speed, slide duration, and sprint enabled. Land grab, you get number of zones, variable number of zones, capture time, immersion duration, intermediate duration. Darn this dyslexic face of mine. Initial incoming duration, subsequent income duration. And for last Spartan standing, all of attrition custom game settings, we are investigating adding even more options to expand the extensibility of the mode. In addition to all 3 new modes, the MP team has also been working on upgrading our overall playlist offering. If there's anything else you can share on the front of the terms of what we can expect for Season 2. So we're working on rolling out a much wider variety of social experiences and playlists that fit for variable party sizes. Rumble Pit, for instance, is an 8-player FFA playlist with a mashup of base modes alongside variants with a twist. This will be available on day 1. We aim to rotate the playlist like Social Skirmish, Social Slayer, Team Snipers, Team Doubles, and more throughout the season. As for some of the new variants themselves, here are a few to chew on. Ninja Slayer. We've got an infinite ammo energy sword and grapple shot loadouts with the grapple shots and power equipment on map. What you do in this mode is swing around and hit people with swords. Vampire Ball. This is something was inspired to try after a long-winded post I made about Oddball on Reddit. Dumbed up some interesting discussion. In this oddball mode, a skull carrier is no longer nerfed. Instead, the skull is a one-hit kill and has 50% shield vampirism, which if you score a kill with the skull at full shields, says bleeds into an overshield. Rocket repulsors, infinite ammo, rocket launchers, and repulsor loadouts with only repulsors and power equipment on map. This might be a good time to remind everyone that you can deflect things like rockets with the repulsor equipment, or super jump yourself upward towards and to avoid explosion. I look forward to the community getting hands-on with these and more, giving us feedback from what might make them better. When can we expect to jump into these modes during Season 2? So both King of the Hill and Last Spartan Standing will be available day 1. We'll be inserting King of the Hill into Quick Play and Ranked Arena, as well as featuring a mode in its own playlist for those who want the purpose of checking it out. For the Last Spartan Standing, we're immediately available in the first seasonal event, as the first seasonal event, and will be available throughout all of the season after the event concludes, but while the season event is running, all eyes will be on Breaker. Land Grab will also feature as part of the Fracture Entrenched event around a month as after Season 2's launch, after which, much like Last Spartan Standing, it will remain available for players to jump in throughout the season. As with all of our modes of play, limited time experiences can be added to the permanent installments that they would receive. And attrition is as good example of our purpose here. Many want the mode to immediately be available to quick play, which is happening in Season 2, but during attrition's event, we discovered opportunities to implement what we wanted to address before graduating it to a permanent mode in Halo Infinite. So thank you guys for obviously jumping in and putting and dealing with this incredibly long post going over Season 2's modes preview for Halo Infinite. Guys, if you feel like this video was worth your time, let me know in the comments. I'd really like to hear from you, especially what your thoughts are overall on Halo Infinite. I'm looking forward to its future, but just like as it launched, I was like, oh, it's kind of bare bones. It's kind of bare bones. Personally, from a multiplayer perspective, I'm waiting for them to actually add the multiplayer aspect to the story campaign. Once they said that it wasn't coming, so I was like, well, I'll wait to play that once they add that in. And maybe it's season 2. I don't know. We'll have to see. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you have a wonderful day. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care.
Yeah. It's time to chill out on the couch and read some comments. That's right. You know me when it comes to Destiny. I'm off with the clan, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Oh.